Hey guys, it's me, Joshua D. Today I want to go over a little bit about sound in our live streams, right? What I've been noticing and watching a lot of live streams lately is that when DJs go from track to track, what can happen is that one track is really loud, one track is really quiet. And obviously, if anybody is out there is also a producer, we know that tracks can have varying volumes depending on how they're mastered. I'm going to talk about how we can use both compressors and limiters to make our sound more even and well distributed throughout our mix without even having to think about it. Not only that, but it's going to stop clipping from occurring, and it's going to make for a better experience for our listeners. So I'm going to dive right in. So essentially all you've got to do is go ahead and add your audio input capture. And that's going to be going to what I would say is your mixer, right? That's going to be the thing that you're, outputting your sound from, be it an application or a mixer. I'm going to go ahead and turn on my deck here, and I'm going to actually show you what this would look like once we put our compressor and our limiter on. So the way that you add this, and by the way, in OBS, this is the only application that I have found so far that has this feature. Ecamm Live, Wirecast, etc. I'm not sure that if they have that. I will follow up in the comments if I find any. But that's essentially the only app that I can find that has this built in. Very powerful features, by the way, if anybody's out there listening. So the way that you do this is you right click on that input capture rather, and you go down to the filters command. Now you have an audio filters list here, and what you would do is you would add the compressor and the limiter and play with these settings as you'd like. What I typically do is I keep a ratio of 4:1, and I also keep my threshold at about -6. Now, people are going to ask me why -6, but that's when you start to have that compressor start to take in effect. Now, the attack is probably going to want to be a little higher, probably around 150 milliseconds. You're going to want your release at about 80 or 90. And then what you're going to want to do is keep your output gain to 2 or 3. So play with that a bit and see where you'd like to keep it at. But essentially, whatever you take away, you've got to add a gain to it. What the limiter is going to do is that's going to make sure that we don't reach that certain threshold. This is probably going to, I would say, probably keep this around -2 or -1. It's different than you would do for mastering a track. Mastering a track, we want it to be as loud as possible without clipping, which is why you'd set it to -0.1, -0.3, whatever your threshold might be in your tracks. But for the video, you're going to have a bunch of different layers on top of that, including microphones, etc. So keep this at -2. It's a pretty good starter. Go ahead and click on close, and then you're going to see what that looks like here when I play a track. And I'm going to try to make it clip, so don't you worry. All right, so let me see if I've got a signal here. All right, so I do have a signal, and you can see I've got this set pretty high. So let me go ahead and set that like a little bit lower. All right, so that's pretty low. All right, so I've got something here now in the yellow, and that's typically where I tell people to stay around. Now I'm trying to clip this. I'm trying to push this as high as it will go, and on my side you hear that. Okay, notice it's limiting. You can note there that it's limiting. So the limiter is taking an effect, and even the compressor is, because you can tell I have this at a pretty low. I have this is in the green on my mixer here, and you can see that it's being compressed, right? It's being brought up and it's being compressed down. You don't want that compressor to have too much, be the threshold too high, because otherwise that's going to reduce some of the transients, and you don't want that either. You want that to be a really punchy sound, especially for EDM DJs. So that's how you do it. I mean, this is really important. It's going to make a lot of people's live stream a little bit more even keeled. So I hope you enjoy it.